Hello, my name is Madison Rosapal, and today I'm going to be presenting the pitch for my new screenplay, Hotline, the next big police drama. For the purposes of this presentation, I'm going to be pretending that I'm pitching to Warner Brothers Media in order to give my presentation a bit of context that makes it more effective. Hotline follows a similar format as TV shows like CSI and Law & Order, where you get to watch a group of detectives solving cases and the work that goes into it. But in this version, we add a twisted supernatural element through our main character Matthew, who is a mind reader. This new element adds a supernatural twist to the classic crime TV shows and allows it to appeal to a broader audience. So not only are we appealing to people who enjoy true crime and crime in general, we're also appealing to people who enjoy a mystery, supernatural element. Like I said before, the story adds an interesting supernatural element. Following a series of mysterious tips sent into a tip line, a man comes forward claiming to be able to read minds. He says that the reason he was able to make these tips was that he had used his powers to look into the minds of different criminals and pulled out their secrets. The detectives at the department are faced with the curious situation of how to deal with this man who is claiming all these strange things. They don't know how to go about it, they don't know what to do, but if the man is telling the truth, they're presented with a curious but fantastic opportunity. Let's dive into some of the characters. Our story centers around Matthew, a male in his early 20s with red hair. Matthew was born with the ability to read minds, but for the longest time he viewed it as a curse. Every time he heard what people were thinking, he had to deal with the implications of what they were thinking, all on his own, or risk being seen as a crazy person. Following a gut feeling, he decides to come forward to the police with all the information that he had overheard in the past few weeks that he believed were linked to crimes. He is then encouraged to join the police force in order to help solve cases, and that is where our story begins. Our secondary main character is Detective Adam, a male in his mid-20s with dark hair. Adam is one of the first people who meets Matthew and one of the people who suggests using him as a tool. He's been in the detective business for a long time and he's seen all sorts of things, so when presented with this opportunity, he doesn't want to let it go. He sees it as an opportunity to get a leg up on the criminals, and therefore he believes they have to pursue this opportunity or they'd be a waste. Another secondary character is Detective Sky, a female in her late 20s. Sky is also a veteran detective, but she views the situation with a bit more caution. She believes that taking Matthew on may be too big of a risk for them to handle. Another secondary character is Detective Toshinori, an Asian male in his early 20s. Despite being new to the detective industry, Toshinori is brilliant and knows a lot of what he's talking about. Often, he plays devil's advocate and serves as the voice of reason, helping bring everything together and make it look as responsible as possible. For this presentation, I've created two potential production plans. Our first plan follows the live-action avenue of production. This avenue, used in TV shows like Law & Order and CSI, has been proven to be successful in the past. Currently, Warner Brothers already has live-action productions going on, meaning they have a pool to pull from for a crew for this project. This method also falls in line with more of the current production types at the moment. There are more live-action TV shows currently going on than there are any other variety. Current Warner Brothers productions that are live-action like Peacemaker, The Cleaning Lady, and All American currently are doing very well. Adding another similar production should be no problem for the studio. It should also add more attention to this project since people are already aware of the other three. With all of this in mind, it should be no problem for viewers of Peacemaker, The Cleaning Lady, All American, etc. to move over to Hotline since they already know that Warner Brothers produces good stuff. That initial viewership should help us move through the entirety of the production since we already have an initial audience. It should also guarantee that any money invested into the project will be returned in full. Our second plan follows the animation avenue. Adult animated television is a relatively new market, meaning that if Warner Brothers were to enter into this market, it could create some buzz around the fact that they are joining in the new game. Not to mention the success of current Warner Brother television series, such as the ones in the DC universe. Those are animated and are always relatively well received. By using those same crew members, we can build on that hype and potentially make this a better production. Should the studio go with the animation avenue, YouTube presents itself as a potential home for Hotline. On YouTube, adult animated series like Has Been Hotel, Hell of a Boss, Mystery Skulls Animated all do incredibly well. Through YouTube ads, these videos are making $2,000 to $6,000 per million views. That doesn't even include the millions that are being made on merchandise by these companies. Should we take this route, we should have similar success considering it's a Warner Brothers production which already has a bit of hype built in. Should the studio choose not to go with YouTube, Warner Brothers already currently streams through HBO Max. By adding Hotline to their collection, you will see an increase in the value of HBO Max as a whole. Viewers for Hotline could start looking through the collection of Warner Brothers on HBO Max and see other things that they might be interested in, thus increasing the viewership for all productions. If ads are added to the streaming service, it could mean a considerable amount of ad revenue that could come from viewers. This ad revenue could cover production costs for Hotline. The company Crunchyroll already uses this method and is incredibly successful. Since they started, they have been able to produce TV shows animated by themselves and owned by them. Meaning, Hotline could create a new stream of revenue that could lead to more TV shows being produced by Warner Brothers and hosted on HBO Max. These new shows could bring new viewership to HBO Max and Warner Brothers as a whole, which will be incredibly advantageous. Despite the risk involved with a new venture, this seems to be incredibly successful. Thank you for your time today. All images that were used in the creation of this PowerPoint were taken for reference purposes only, and I do not claim ownership of any of them. They are only meant to be a visual stand-in to help aid the description of the characters. I have also included links to the articles I referenced, as well as a bit more information about Warner Media. So feel free to take a look at them and cross-reference anything I've said. I hope you consider my project Hotline for a new venture.